Welcome to the Brie Pod. We are live and we're here with Holly Manley and sweet Gus. So, Holly, you are the foster mom of our sweet baby here, Gus. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am 31 years young and I was born and raised in Malone. My name is Holly Manley. I started off by, I always loved animals growing up. Something that my dad didn't know, actually, I didn't even tell you this, but when I was young, I snuck a snake into my bedroom and closet for a while. And I got little pinky mice from my biology teacher at the time, Mr. Pelkey. And that's how I fed him and I kept him alive. And then one day he died and then I started crying and I'm like, to my parents, I'm like, my snake died. And they're like, what snake? So that's always a fun story my dad likes to tell. Another time road, because he's a truck driver, we took in a cat that was stuck in a tree and we basically fostered it until the owner was found. I don't really remember how old I was, but it was a long time ago. So I kind of always took in animals and stuff, but I mean, growing up, we had gerbils and hamsters, parakeets, doves, cockatiels. I had 2 water dragons also. And then I want to say it was 2009, I got a sugar glider and then I ended up having 4 of them. And then throughout the years, they passed on, but they were a pretty cool pet. I would not recommend that for a lot of people though, because they can live for a while. Chulo, my first one, lived for 12 years.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then I went to school for biology. I went to Potsdam University. And one of my favorite things about that were the winter, I don't know how you pronounce winter course. We went to Florida and we basically camped from the top to the bottom. And we ended up in Key West, and that was a lot of fun. We went to the Tortugas. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but absolutely beautiful. I went and snorkeled. There was coral reefs there, and at one point I was like hovering over and angled down next to a barracuda that was just kind of doing this. And I'm like, you know what? This is pretty cool. They could bite me right now and I would still think this is the coolest thing ever. So yeah, I've always been adventurous. I always wanted to move to Florida, but then one day it just kind of hit me how much I love the mountains around here. I love the mountains, the lakes, the kayaking, freshwater kayaking, camping. There's just so much to do around here. And then it really locked me in when I started fostering for Focus on Ferals. And that I wasn't really looking for that. It just kind of fell into my lap. I was asked basically if I wanted to take in a pregnant cat. And I'm like, no, but yes, at the same time. So I did. I started out with one cat. It would have been November of 2019. She was pregnant. Her babies were born and they were my Disney litter. So with every litter that I've had or any fosters that I take in when there's multiples, I name them after a certain theme. Like one of them was Game of Thrones, which was pretty cool. Disney babies. One that I foster failed, Portia. She was from the litter, Bianca's litter, and with her theme, when I looked up the name Bianca, Bianca is one of the moons of Uranus. So I chose all of her babies to be other moons, and Portia was one of them. So with Portia, a lot of people know or may not know, she had megacolon and she had to have her eye removed. That was tough, but that's kind of when I realized I was in love with her. Like, because when they said to put her down, I started crying, and I'm like, okay, she makes it, I'm keeping her. So that was my first foster fail. And then my second foster fail was Fuji, he was actually born on my birthday back in April. And he just so happens to be Gus's best friend.
Yay.
So I think they were meant to be best buds. Maybe all of us were, we're all April babies. We're Aries, go Aries.
You're all fire signs over there.
I mean, I guess that's why it can get intense here sometimes. But no, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more about me that I could say, but I don't really want to make it about me. This is a lot to do with Gus and how fostering is very important. So I kind of got burnt out from the cats. I've dealt with a lot of death. I've had kittens die in my hands. That's probably one of the worst things. And then the last one that drew the straw was my niece came home from Texas and she really fell in love with a kitten that we had found at my work, Citizen Advocates, the Dayhab building. So I took her in, named her Macy Lou. My niece fell in love with it, or with her. And my dad was actually going to let her adopt her and bring her back to Texas with them. Well, she ended up having the feline leukemia virus. And she was like slowly dying from it. I mean, we knew there was something wrong with her, but we didn't quite know what it was. So she kind of gradually got worse. So my mom and my niece, Chloe, brought her out to Plattsburgh to be seen because nobody around here was available. And I was at work. So then I got the phone call about what was happening. And they told me her chances. And even if she survived, it would be a lot of suffering. So I had to make that decision to have her euthanized. So that was really sad. I sat outside of work and I cried as I called my mom and niece to let them know what the results were. And so that's when I was just like, you know what, I'm going to take a break. And then this thing happened right here. I did not plan on this at all. I've always wanted to foster dogs, but like, I didn't think he would be the first one.
Yeah.
Was going above and beyond anything I could have ever imagined. Like I said, I've had kittens like die in my hands before. That's sad. But like to know his background, and I felt so defeated because I knew there was nothing I could do to help, because I was like, there's no way I can take in this dog. But I mean, well, whenever you're ready for me to just go full board on him, you just let me know, because I can tell straight from the beginning what happened.
Yeah, you just go ahead. Let us know what happened and how did Gus come into your life?
So after the kitten died, sad, but I made that decision, stop fostering, for focus on ferals for a little bit, maybe still do like transportation and help out with like the PetSmart adoption events. But I kind of had it clear in my head that I was gonna be done with that. And then like literally within a few days, it might have even been the next day, somebody had told me, somebody had told me about Gus the week before. And I wanted to help her out. She messaged me and she knew me from work. She basically told me that her parents had this puppy who was having a hard time walking and they thought it was wobblers. So I researched wobblers. I'm like, okay, this might not be bad, but it could be bad, But it also said that it doesn't usually start until 10 months old. And I was told that he started walking like this almost right away when he first started learning how to walk. And so, like I said, I did some research and I helped her. I basically was saying, what I didn't know much about him. I said, what breed is he? Is he a mix? And so when she told me he's a Great Dane lab mix, I was like, okay, let's start with breed specific rescues. So that's what I told her to do. Look at breed specific rescues. We'll figure this out. I ended up getting a hold of a rescue in Vermont who never got back a hold of me. I called I don't even remember what it was called. It was a neurology center down in Texas. And basically they said that they couldn't give me any medical advice on this dog because they don't see him, because he's up here in New York. But what they would suggest is to take him in, bring him to a regular vet and have them refer him to a specialist. So that's kind of like another thing that I had told her. I was basically just trying to research or reach out to anybody that would take him in to their organization and I would consider fostering. I wasn't 100% set on it, but it was more like he needs the help now. He had never been seen by a vet before. So when the Adirondack Animal Coalition got a hold of me, basically saying, because they found out about Gus, They're like, we want to help. And I was like over the moon. So this was, I want to say this was a few days after the kitten had died, is when I got the A-OK. If you take this puppy in to foster, we will finance his vet bills. And so I was like, okay. Within an hour, I had picked him up. We met at the Runnings parking lot in Malone. And basically she handed him over to me. And I saw him for the first time and I'm like, oh my God, this puppy's tiny. You know, he's like really, really skinny. He was only 20 pounds, I found out later on. He was covered in wounds on his side. If anybody has his Facebook page, they'll see that I have at least one picture of what his side looked like when I picked him up. And he was covered in fleas. And then again, later on, I would find out that he had a bunch of those long worms in him too. So I don't think that helped at all as to why he was so small. You know, I don't think he was ever intentionally starved or anything. I just think because he had so much worms in him, it was just kind of like depleting the life out of him. So I really don't honestly know how much longer he would have made it. He didn't move. I stuck him straight in the cart and I brought him into Runnings. Me and my niece, Chloe, did. And we got a toy and a harness. And then I brought him home. That's when I realized he had fleas. So luckily I always keep flea treatment for my own animals. So I gave him a flea treatment and he wasn't really moving. It wasn't until later that night when we brought him over to see a neighbor that she had chicken nuggets. And all of a sudden he just starts moving. Like he obviously can't walk on his own, but he can crawl. So he was like crawling towards her. So she would like hold it out just so we could see how far he could make it. And he was so excited, but he can't wag his tail. So, you know what I mean? Like you can't tell that he's excited, but you know, like he's very food motivated. I learned that very quickly. So yeah, from there on out, it was figuring out vet appointments and seeing what's wrong with him, figuring out what he can and cannot do. I learned really quickly that he loves to chew on people. So I've been very lucky with people donating toys like this that are longer and very good for his teething. Since he's been with me, he's pretty much lost all of his baby teeth. He's also gained about 10 pounds since I've had him, and I picked him up on August 4th. So he's definitely making some improvement. A lot of people like wonder like what's the quality of his life, and I'm like it's got to be pretty good because he eats like a champ. He loves me. Every time I come home, he gets so excited. He moves the cage thing around that surrounds his dog bed. Thank you. Way. I like it. It's so much easier to clean up, a lot easier, you know, instead of having all those blankets. He's a goofball. He's definitely a goofball. That is for sure.
Well, I want you to share. So I know that before you had a wheelchair graciously donated, you actually had one that you guys made, right? It was his foster dad and you, or I believe that's what I read.
Yeah, he kind of was looking at YouTube videos and other things. I'm not really sure because I was so busy with him that he took care of all of that stuff. And then he created that first wheelchair. And then all of a sudden he got this other one donated and I'm like, okay, but this first wheelchair, even though it can't turn like the new one, it goes straight and then back, but it's safe because he can't run out into the road with it, you know, he can't like turn it and it's not like wobbly or anything. And okay, I know I'm all over the place, but there's just so much. It helps if I place him in the old wheelchair because it doesn't move as easily and I can help express his bladder. And because he can pee on his own, but he can't control it. So if I bring him outside first thing in the morning, after he eats, after I get home from work, he won't make as many accidents because I can help him express as much of that out as he can. And as far as bowel movements go, he can go on his own. That would be tricky if he couldn't. I'm glad he can. And but with that, you already saw the video, I think, but I have a towel. So once he's out of his wheelchair outside, after he's done peeing, I'll take a towel and I'll put it like right under here. And then that way he can walk around, he can sniff the ground and everything. and then he can have his bowel movement. So I'm pretty sure he knew already that going outside was what he was supposed to do. Cats are getting into something right now. But anyways, so yeah, that the towel helps. I've had the same person who donated the wheelchair donated another sling type thing. So it's the same concept of using the towel, but it's got the handles on it, and I can always drape it over my shoulder if I want to. Yeah, the first few weeks were really tricky because my back wasn't used to holding him and walking around with him the way that I do. So that I hurt a lot. And now it's like back, the muscle that's been created since having him, nothing phases me anymore. So yeah.
I wanted to actually ask about that. So I know that after you got him, you actually got him to the vet. And what did you learn from the vet?
Not a lot. We still haven't learned a lot. So, okay, because I jump around a lot, let's stick to the vet appointments. Okay. So the first vet appointment was basically getting him vaccinated, dewormed, possibly figuring it out, which I kind of wouldn't. So he got his first vaccination, dewormed, and antibiotics because his wounds were so bad. They were on his side, and there was one actually that was right here, and that was pretty bad. So she gave him antibiotics for that. Has no idea what's going on with him. At this point, we have a radio flyer that we were using. This is before his wheelchair that my friend Mina donated to me just to borrow, I'm gonna give it back to her. But that has saved us so much. I'm telling you what, that wagon, the radio flyer, has been amazing. Anybody that has a dog can't move properly, I would suggest a radio flyer because you can basically bring him anywhere. And it was easier for the vets to wheel him around. They can take him in because with COVID, you're not really supposed to be going into the buildings. But that's when I found out he was 20 pounds. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a Great Dane mix. And he's only 20 pounds at 4 months old. This is crazy. So that surprised, it didn't really surprise me, but to me, it was like, oh, he should be bigger than this. But I did also find out from the girl who told me about him that he was the smallest of his litter. He almost died. They did have to bottle feed him. So, I'm hoping whatever we can figure out with his head can explain why he was always the smallest and why he possibly almost died. So the second vet appointment was for x-rays. And they basically said that they couldn't see anything wrong with him. But what she could see, because she had to send them away, but before she sent them away, the one thing she could tell was his head. It looked like maybe like the mom grabbed onto him, like pulled up when he was a newborn, because their skulls are so soft when they're first born. And so she said his head is a little misshapen. You can't tell looking at him and feeling around, like there's no way I would have guessed that. But I guess it might make sense if that's part of the reason why he can't walk properly. So yeah, when the results came back, I was like disappointed. No answers at all. Nothing was irregular. So his third vet appointment, we went for blood work and his second vaccination. So that's when he had his wheelchair. So I kind of got to show him off, and he didn't really want to move at first, but he ended up moving. And then there was other people there that were watching him, and they're like, oh my God, maybe try doing this and that. So it's nice to see people are trying to help me, because trust me, I don't know everything. I'll be the first to admit, I did help my 9-year-old Connie Corso when she was 3. She tore her ACL, and I had to do physical therapy on her after her surgery. And they said that her healing was one of the best ACL healings that they've ever seen. So I must be doing something right, but I'm always up for suggestions. So if anybody ever wants to give me advice, please, I'm down. So yeah, blood work. Basically, I just found out that his globulin levels were very high, and the vet said that she would look more into it for me, but I have yet to receive a phone call. So at this point, we're kind of like at a loss, because of course, Google warriors here. I decided to Google it, and it could mean cancer, it could mean infection, it could mean a lot of things. And I'm just like, oh, this isn't good. So I don't really know, no idea. I don't want to like say that it's a bad thing because I have no idea. It probably doesn't explain anything at all. Maybe it does. Very curious to see what the vet has to say. And if it is like an infection or inflammation, like I'm wondering if it is in his brain. You know what I mean? I don't know if it has anything to do with possibly being pulled on as a puppy. At this point, we literally have no idea. So I got a phone call yesterday from the Adirondack Animal Coalition, who agreed to, take him on and help with the bills. And she basically was just wondering, it was Lisa Corey. She goes, well, what do we do if it comes back inconclusive and we still don't know? And I'm like, well, if I do end up adopting him out, I don't think he's ever going to be adopted, because who's going to adopt a puppy who can't walk without knowing why he can't walk? That's a lot of money that someone's going to have to put in to figure this out, or they just let him live his life. But the problem with that is we still don't know what's going on. Is there something we could have done to help him out? And I understand the Adirondack Animal Coalition doesn't have all the money in the world. I don't expect them to pay for everything. So our goal is to start a GoFundMe and see where we can get at, because if he does need an MRI, which I'm assuming that's what's going to happen because they have to do a brain scan, that's going to be thousands of dollars. It's going to be probably around 5,000, if not more, depending on if he can have a surgery after that. So I don't really know where the ballpark, lies with that, but the Animal Coalition has helped me out a lot. I'm very, very grateful for them. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to have taken him in. I mean, there's only so much I can do by myself, but as far financially wise, no, I've got my own animals to care for. But as soon as I saw his video of him walking, basically he wasn't walking anymore. She messaged me that day. She goes, yeah, he doesn't walk anymore. And this was just within 1 week of her telling me about Gus. And so she finally sent me a video, and that's when I was just like, oh my God, we've got to do something for this puppy. So the Adirondack Animal Coalition, I thank them up and down. They're absolutely amazing. They're fighting for the animals around here. And they have so much other things to take on that there is no way that they can even begin to fund even half of it at this point, because we just have so much going on here with the dog population and what the abuse, the neglect, the rescuing. So anyways, so she agreed. We had talked about it, me and Lisa. I didn't tell you this, but while I was at work today, I probably shouldn't admit that. Anyways, I emailed Cornell University and I asked them if they would take Gus's case on. So the Adirondack Animal Coalition, Lisa Corrier, agreed that if we can get him in, she would be down for that. She said maybe we can take turns going back and forth with him because that's a long drive. And then basically just see what we can come up with a GoFundMe. But I'm hoping to get estimates here. I'm hoping they say, yes, we'll take him on. I hope it's not one of those things where, well, if it's a puppy that can't walk, he has no quality of life. So I also put in the email, I will send you videos to show you how happy he is to be alive right now. So that's my surprise for you.
Thank you. I'm glad you shared it here. And I think that's awesome that the Adirondack Coalition has been so helpful and that you guys are fighting so hard for Gus. One of the questions I have is like, what is his personality? If you were to explain it, what is he like?
He's very goofy. He's very demanding. Very demanding. Every time you walk by him, if he's on the floor, he goes and he tries to grab at your ankle. Like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you going over there? You're supposed to be around me. He's very dependent, we'll put it like that. And it's not because he can't walk, he's dependent because that's just the way he is. But that's kind of the personality of Great Danes anyway. If Great Danes are anything like Dobermans, like, because I have Dobermans, they're very needy. They're very touchy. What's the word that they use to describe Dobermans? Velcro. And I want to say that Great Danes are the same way. Oh, here's another thing I didn't share for anyone who doesn't really know what's going on with Gus. I did an embark test. So he's mainly Great Dane, and then he's got Lab in him, Golden Retriever, and Siberian Husky. So it's quite the mix. So maybe attitude Husky, I have no idea. Energy would be probably Husky and Labrador, because when he gets going, and he doesn't want to stop. For example, when I give him a bath, or if I just wash him up with a really wet washcloth and then dry him off, he gets the zoomy. So even though he can't get up and run by himself, he will stomp and try to get up. So I'll pick him up by right here and I'll walk him around, and he will run as fast as he can. And if somebody's going after their ankles.
So
Yeah.
he's a goofy little one, but it sounds like he's determined, right?
Very determined. I tell you what, when these dogs walk by, he tries to grab them. When the cats walk by, he tries to grab them. Him and Fuji are best friends, because he could really hurt Fuji, not meaning to, but because his teeth are sharp and he doesn't realize his own strength, because he does. He'll like, Fuji will walk by and he'll do that thing where he goes to grab him, but cats are pretty fast. But Fuji's got that personality where he's just so chill and relaxed that he does have the potential to be hurt. So I try to, when I'm gone, Gus has this cage thing that wraps around. It's not a crate, but I don't really know how else to describe it. It was donated to me for the foster kittens. So which is really cool, because I can use things that were donated to me from foster kittens and then use it for Gus too. So that helps a lot. And then the cats can't jump in. I mean, I guess they could if they really tried, but I also have a camera on him all day long, so I can check in. And I do come home on my lunch break and I can let him out and feed him. And he doesn't like when I leave though, but.
You're gonna work from home, so you're together.
Well, I was able to the first 2 weeks I had him, which was really nice. But I mean, I think it kind of spoiled the both of us.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem distressed or anything. Like when I check him on the camera, he's mainly sleeping. Every once in a while he'll look up and then he just goes right back to sleep. But he's a good boy. He's fun. He loves to play, but he loves to sleep too. Like, I'm surprised he's already sleeping. I've been gone all day. But then again, I put him in his wheelchair for a little bit, but I wanted to have everything set up for this, because I don't have the ability to just like move this perfectly. But yeah, okay. Fun. He's very demanding, but not the worst, If anything, it's the carrying him everywhere to bring him outside, and he might pee on me on the way out, but which is fine when I'm home. But if, like, say I'm working and I'm literally just coming home for a lunch break, yeah, that's not all fun, because then I have to run upstairs and change. But so actually, so far it's been pretty good. So I can't really say anything. If anything, it's been on like my coat or something, and I can just take that off. And I'm worried about winter though, because I hate cold.
Yeah, winter. I was just thinking about that. So I did want to ask you, for the summer, well, technically it was later summer, you did actually get him into water therapy.
Yes.
And how did that go?
It went. I would bring him up to Mountain View, to the lake up there, and he wasn't really having it. If anything, the only reason why he moved is because I would hover him above the water at first, and that's when he would like kick his legs and stuff. Once he was fully in, he would just like look at me like, what are you doing? Why are we here? This is cold. This is wet. I don't like it. And so he would kind of kick, and then I would just kind of like move him along, because he has his life jacket. And he would move more and more each time I did it. But then Lisa, the head of the Animal Coalition, she donated to me, well, just to borrow again, a horse trough to put in the yard, so I don't always have to travel to do water therapy, because the vet also said that he can't be in chlorinated water. So pools were out of the question. Plus he was still healing with all of his wounds and stuff. So I did use the horse trough thing. Not the greatest, but it got his legs moving. Even when he touched the ground, he just wanted to move, because his goal was to get out of the horse trough. Yeah, so I mean,
It was a win-win situation.
I wouldn't have to travel, and he was getting his therapy, and oh, that's what I want to talk about next is the therapy. He was getting the water therapy. And then once he got out, he wanted to run. So it's like it excited his bones or something. And then he could start building muscle from that because he was really excited and he would just go. And at this point, he would get up on his knees and just kind of like drag himself, you know, because he can get up on his front paws. He can't sit. So it's not like he can get up and then sit. It's really weird. I don't know. I'm sure there's videos or something, but yeah, he's a goofball. He hates water, but loves getting out of the water. Like I said, he gets the zoomies and then he wants to chase everything, and especially the cats or my ankles. Okay, so speaking of therapy, I do physical therapy with him. Basically, I took what I did with Bryn, my Cane Corso, and instead of doing it with her, just her one knee, I now do it for Gus for all 4 of his limbs. And even though his front limbs work, I still do it with those because they're not 100% strong. If they were 100% strong, he would be able to drag himself a lot better. He would only have to have, well, for people who don't know, I don't know if you can see it, he would only have to have 2 wheels in the back instead of the all 4. So I do physical therapy for all of his limbs. But I always start with massages. So I'll massage like right here, and then I'll work my way down, and then I'll get his front limb. And obviously I do only one side at a time. And then I get right here. And what I've noticed about this is the more I massage him, the more I realize like he's actually building muscle. I mean, it's nothing like the Hulk, but I definitely feel the difference. And then the next step I do is I pull on each of his toes, not hard, just enough to, usually he has reflexes. Sometimes he doesn't. It all depends. Oh, see, he just moved. Well, I did actually move it back. And then after doing that a few times, I flex each toe about 10 times. And then when he's done with that, I do the bicycle. Oh, he's tremoring. So then I know this isn't the best angle ever. Plus I'm right here, so he didn't go as much. And then you just do it. So you do that 5 times, and then you do it 5 times this way. And then you stretch out. Actually, I do the stretch out part first, and then stretch it back in. And then out. And I do that part 10 times. And then it's good for him because he can stretch, or he can go all the way in. So like people always wonder, like, is he mobile? Oh yeah, I mean, he's mobile. He can feel everything. That's why it's got to be something with his brain. I mean, there's no way he can do it. He can absolutely do it. When he's in his wheelchair, he'll start with his front, and he'll try and he'll try and he'll try. And if he can't quite get it, he starts to use his back like a horse. Like his back legs start kicking out at the same time, and he's dragging with his front and he's kicking with his back. And that's how he gets his wheelchair to move. So he doesn't do one leg at a time because he can't. But I mean, I think eventually he'll get there. But it's fun because where I live on a corner. So the side street, it's pretty flat towards the edges. It kind of goes down. So that's hard. But when there's definitely no cars coming, I'll put him right in the middle of the street, and I will start running, and he will start sprinting because it's the easiest surface for him to run on. And my friend Alay Pepin donated some doggy boots, and he actually, so I use that all the time now, especially outside, because his nails get really short. And he donated a brace for his back legs, and they're a little too big right now, so I haven't been able to use them, but they're going to help train the leg for when he's standing up to stay normal like this instead of drag. It's like a de-knuckling.
Oh,
so
wow.
he won't be able to do this anymore. He'll have to stay like this, and it hooks around his toes. So that's going to help too. So I'm excited for that. And then there's another thing you can do for him where you roll him onto his back, and you kind of have him like, you know, like a pig when you tie him. You just kind of roll him back and forth, and it's supposed to help with his abdominal muscles. Now, I don't do that a lot right now, but I do it every once in a while. I probably could start increasing it now because he is getting stronger. The wheelchair is touch and go. Sometimes I feel, okay, before I get into that, Ruck 9, I can't forget to mention them. It's an organization down in Florida who buys wheelchairs for dogs with disabilities, and then he just donates them. And it's not just dogs, it could be goats, it could be cats, anything. He will help. His name is John. And how I found out about that is my sister lives down in St. Petersburg, Florida, and on the news, she had seen a clip from Ruck 9 donating a wheelchair to a local dog. And so she basically messaged this Ruck 9, and he's like, have your sister call me. I want to know more about Gus. And so I did. I called him right up, and I'm like, this is what Gus is about. Sorry, there was a fly. This is Gus, you know, I'll send you videos, blah, blah, blah. I'll send you measurements. And he's like, I absolutely want to help Gus out. So that made me incredibly happy. Very, very selfless. He didn't ask for anything at all. It's basically a donation based. If you want to donate, which I think people should, because that's an amazing thing that this guy does. So he might not physically take these dogs in, but he's helping out more than anything by getting these wheelchairs, because there's no way I could have afforded this wheelchair. I mean, the other one, his original one, is perfect for, like I said, you set him down in the grass in his wheelchair and you express his bladder, and then he can crawl forward, you know, and then you can pick it up and turn it around. But he's starting to get a little heavy, so I try not to do that as much. But with this wheelchair, he can go any direction ever. And so to pick up on what I was talking about is sometimes I feel defeated because it makes me sad to see him struggle with it. I mean, I know it's better than him just being on the ground all day and not having anything at all, but it does make me sad to see, and I'll show you guys an example, especially because like he's really tired right now, to see that he can't just up and run with it. I mean, he's got to have either a lot of energy in order to be able to do it like a normal dog in a wheelchair would be, or strong enough. Like I've explained to people, it's very touch and go. Every minute, every second, every hour is different for him with his strengths. Sometimes he can, well, there's one video, it was the day after I picked him up. I brought him outside, he went to the bathroom, I fed him, put some water down, I went to the living room real quick, come back over, and he's starting to stand up. He was actually walking perfectly on all four limbs, but very stiff. And I have that on video, and I put that on his Facebook page, and I haven't seen that since. But I'm really, really wanting him to do that again. So even if he can't fully walk, just to see him do that again would make me so happy. So I'm thinking with this wheelchair, even though it's still difficult for him, even because it should be simple. I mean, this wheelchair moves super easy. I'm hoping even with his struggles, it's helping him build that muscle he needs. You know, it's that struggling that's going to help him, because it's the resistance. But once he starts propelling, like I said, on my side road, right behind this window, he can absolutely fly. Once he gets going and it's a flat surface, he's good to go.
That is awesome. And I totally understand the feeling of, you know, watching him struggle is probably not a good feeling. Oh, I lost you.
Yeah, there we go. Somebody call, I don't know.
Okay. I was like, you're gone. Anyway, I feel like watching the struggle is probably so difficult, but at the same time, like you said, hopefully that's the resistance that is helping him get stronger. And clearly from what you're saying, he's getting stronger. Like,
yeah.
what is, how much does he weigh now?
He weighs 30 pounds now. So he gained 30, or wow, he didn't gain 30. He gained 10 pounds and a little over a month since I took him in. And not skin and bones anymore. He could still see his hip bone, but I think this is a healthy weight. This is a very, because I know with Dobermans, they say you can see a little bit of their ribs and they're 100% healthy. Like they actually want to see a little bit of the ribs. but too much. And no, I mean, especially because his hip bones were like really sticking out. Let's see if I can, his scars, I don't know. Basically all of his fur has filled in, and there's some spots like here and here where it's still iffy, but anything, I'm not sure if the phone can show it, if it's bright enough, but anything that's gray speckled is where his wounds were. So it's like he's glowing back in gray, which I think is pretty cool because I think it shows character. I think it shows his story, and he's just so goofy. Look at him. I love his ears. I want to say that's a Great Dane ear, but I know labs have huge ears too. But this is pretty much how he flops.
Oh, he looks like he's comfortable with you, like you're his pillow.
Oh, seriously. We lay on this couch every day and we cuddle, and then Fuji will come up and he'll do the same thing. His best friend.
So now, you told me that when you first got him, he was probably used to eating on the ground where he would flip his food.
Yeah.
How's that going?
He still does. Like he still, okay, so I have this little suction cup. It's a baby suction cup bowl made out of silicone. And if it's wet on the bottom, for the most part, he cannot pick that up. It'll go to pick up, and all of a sudden it'll like suction to the ground. So that helps. But if it's anything, like I got another nice bowl, it's a tilted bowl that was donated. Had a lot of donation. It's been incredible, absolutely amazing. He can flip that one very easily. So, and the vet recommends putting water in his food, which I understand because he can't just get up and walk to the water bowl whenever he wants. So I have to put water in it. And sometimes he'll flip it within the first 2 seconds of me putting it on the ground, and there's all the food, all the water, and he doesn't care because he will sit there and gobble it up. It's almost like it's easier for him to eat off the ground. So that's why I didn't know if like maybe that was their way of feeding him. Maybe it was the easiest way. I'm not really sure. I don't really know much about his background. I mean, I only got bits and pieces of it, and like the wounds, we didn't know how he got the wounds. So I don't know if like he was mainly outside because he can't control his bladder. He was covered in fleas, had infested with worms. So maybe he just always ate off the ground. I have no idea, but the vet thinks that the wounds came from him being caught up underneath something and trying to drag himself out. They did also mention burns. So that's why it's just so inconclusive. We have no idea. It's just a lot of different possibilities. Oh, see, here we go, chewing. So he's awake. This is what he does. He's got all of his adult teeth for the most part. Oh, and I was able to keep some of his teeth because I would find them laying around.
Now, I do have the question of, I know that you post on Sweet Gus, I believe it's Extraordinary Life.
Yep.
And then that's where you put all of his updates as well.
Yep.
So with that, when you hear from the vet, will you be also posting more of those updates there too?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I try not to clog up my personal news feed, just because I don't know if, I guess it doesn't really matter. I think everybody should know about Gus, but my main goal for that was just so that he had his own page, and that way if people wanted to know more about him, and we could talk more about him on that page, and then I could just do random pictures all the time and just make it all about him, But yes, I will definitely be posting updates on his Facebook. I think that the world deserves to know. Everybody's following him. I mean, it started with me posting on hiking with dogs. It's either hiking with dogs or dog moms or a vet page. And people were just basically saying, oh, keep us updated. And I'm thinking, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to remember to come here and be like, okay, guys, this is what happened with Gus. And there's no way. So I was like, you know what? It was a Saturday morning. I was like, we're going to make him a Facebook page. And so that's when I posted on all those websites. I was just like, okay, if you guys really, really want updates, follow him here, because I'm not getting back on. I mean, I might every once in a while, but so yeah, I mean, he's got a little following. He's almost to 500 people.
Wow, yay, buddy. So tell me, what advice would you give to others that are looking into fostering or to people that are on the cusp of thinking about doing it?
Don't not do it because you would keep them all. That's just ridiculous. That's the worst excuse I've ever heard anybody say. I think I'm sorry, I will not accept that. I'll in front of you, I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah. But in my head, I'm just saying, oh my God, because like I've helped save a lot of animals in the last few years. I mean, my whole life I've been saving animals, but really, what was it? 36 cats and kittens in my first year of fostering for Focus on Ferals. This year wasn't as much, but that's, due to COVID and all this other stuff, and getting a new job, just being busy and being burnt out, really. But yeah. I would say I wouldn't mind taking like one in at a time, like one kitten or cat, adults. But as far as, oh, I would want to keep them all. No, you won't. Trust me, if you take in more than one at once, you don't want to keep them all. But I've had a special bond with every single one of them. Now, is it something where if I had the capacity, I would keep some? Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I've already foster failed twice. But the main goal is to push them out. Be that bridge to where you are the one who rescues them, you take them home, you show them love for maybe the first time ever. And then you are that bridge to their new forever family. And then you can move on, they can move on, you move on by taking in more. And it's not something that people have to constantly do. Just if you see the advertisement, like, okay, maybe we should try this one. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And if you foster fail, you foster fail. That animal is still in your life and you still saved it. And, a few foster fails here and there is not a big deal.
Now, foster fail, for anyone that does not know, that means that you actually end up keeping the animal at the end, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because some people are not really failing, but it's like, that's just the term that everybody uses. Anybody who's a foster and they end up adopting it, it's a foster fail because you were supposed to foster and let it move on. So I failed at that part, like Portia with her one eye. Yeah, she's good now, by the way. I didn't really finish my story. That's why ow, he just bit me. Not on purpose though. He's just a little chewer. Yep. So she had to have her left eye removed. And then I had to give her enemas for like 2 months, but because of that, it saved her life. So she doesn't have to deal with that anymore, and I don't either. But
that's good.
I ended up keeping her.
Now I have a question that we all want to know. Are you going to foster fail Gus?
Okay, so everybody, it's going to come down to two different things. If I can have somebody help me, like I can't do this alone. I mean, I need a break too sometimes. Like I can't just sit here and do an all-day kayaking trip anymore. The rest of my summer is shot. And I don't regret it. I mean, he's a beautiful creature. But I would like a break too sometimes. My sister lives in Florida. I would love to go and visit my nephew, but in reality, I don't have anybody to watch. There's nobody to help. And I guess it's partially my fault because I don't ask people. But right now, he doesn't really meet a lot of people because he's still in the middle of getting his vaccination. So if I bring him anywhere, he generally stays in his wagon or in his wheelchair because he doesn't like sniff his paws and then lick them at the end of the day. But if he was laying in grass that was contaminated or something, he could get parvo. So if I actually had the help, maybe, but I also haven't gone through a winter with him. So, and then the other thing is if it's determined that there is no hope for him, he might make it for a year, he might make it a few more months, whatever, I would absolutely keep him. Absolutely. I could not do that to another family. That would be so devastating. I don't know if I told you this last time, but it's like, no, I think I did. I don't love pain, but I feel like I do because I go through so much of it with these animals that it's like, I feel like I love pain, even though I don't, but so I would rather be the one to go through the heartbreak, because at this point we really don't know. If it's something where they say he could live up to a good 10 years, maybe even longer, or even 7 years, whatever. If the right family came along, I would possibly consider it, because like I said, I don't have the help that I would need. And I don't want to like cut my life short. I mean, obviously I would do anything for him, but like I said, if the right family came along and they had the capabilities and the resources and everything to care for him, absolutely. Like I wouldn't want to cut him short either.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm very adventurous and I like doing things with him, and I'm excited for fall. I want to get little fall pictures. I want to bring him on a hayride. I just want to do everything with him and show him the world. Like that was my whole goal, was when I first got him and I put him in that cart at Runnings. I'm like, you know what? You're going to know the world. You're going to see a lot of different things. And so then that's when my friend donated that, the radio flyer to me to use for him. And I started bringing him for walks. He didn't have to touch the ground. So I would suggest that with your puppy, if he's not so crazy, maybe get like a wheelchair, or not a wheelchair, like some sort of contraption or a radio flyer. But then again, with puppies that can actually move, he might jump out of it. So,
It sounds like to me that your kayak or canoe just needs an extra little one on the back and he can come with you.
You know what? That's actually a good idea too. I never even thought of that, because I didn't think about it before because of his wounds. He was basically naked wherever there was wounds, and I didn't want the sun to burn him. So I didn't really consider that before, but you are right. If I did actually have like a flat kayak where there wasn't like that little, I don't even know how to explain it,
Like
under legs, if it was just flat, I probably could.
Yeah.
He does have a life jacket.
See, like I told you before, I think that you're going to keep him for life. I do think that you'll find the help. And I do know, so there are ways that people can help you. How can we help you? Let us know.
Well, if somebody just wanted to spend time with him, that helps too. Get his little energy out, or, puppy sit for a weekend, or like I said, even just come over and let's put him in his wheelchair and you guys be the ones to run down the street with him or whatever, the backyard, help him strengthen up. That's always helpful too. I do have my own animals, so finances, that's really tough. So even if you wanted to donate a bag of dog food, he's good on toys. That I do not need to put any of this online anymore. Somebody also donated a toy that has like a suction cup at the bottom. So when he's in the kitchen, you can just put the suction cup down and then he won't lose the toy. It'll stay with him basically. And that helps. But anyways, so toys are good. He's never, okay, I don't want to sound negative. I don't know, but if he never can control his bladder, puppy pads are a must. Doggy diapers, not the kind, I've learned a lot since having him, not the kind with the tail hole cut out or baby diapers. I still use those when they're donated, because what I do is actually have it right here. My cousin donated these. These are male diaper wraps. So it goes just exactly where you need it. Of course, he's going to chew on it. Actually, I'm probably going to put him in his thing anyway, if you want to see him in his wheelchair. So it goes just right here, and then it wraps around and Velcros. So what I'll do with the diapers that don't fit him, like this is super small, I'll just fold it opposite to the soaker side, absorbent side. I don't know. I don't have babies, so I don't really know what you call it. And then I put it inside the diaper, the washable diaper. And then that way I'm not washing this as much. So any of the ones that have been donated so far that don't fit them, that's what I do. But another thing that I had put online is just the disposable male wraps, because that works too, because I can't always do laundry. So that's helped a lot, especially like on a whim where it's like, I don't have time to put a diaper inside of his other diaper. So here we go. We have the disposable one, and it's just the normal male wrap. And that way, if he does have a bowel movement. It's not being stuck inside of a diaper either. You know, that can just come right out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just supporting him, you know, like he's just a good boy. I just want everybody to meet him. He loves people. He loves to play, as you see. He's a little rough. So like when it comes to the little kids, I always got to tell them, just don't, you know, he's on this teething stage, you know, hold a toy for him and pet his head and stuff like that, you know, but don't just go right in there because he is chewing. As you see, this is what he does. Donations. I think the most important thing right now is when the GoFundMe comes out, because I have a feeling that could be really, really pricey and I can't afford it. Adirondack Animal Coalition, there's absolutely no way. They have way too much on their plate. They have a lot more other animals to care for. So monetary donations would be absolutely amazing. They're going to be the ones to make the GoFundMe because he's a part of their organization. I'm just a foster. So yeah, just if people want to play with him or babysit him sometimes, or food. Like I said, it's the Purina Pro Plan puppy chow. He's got a nice bag right now that was donated. I just opened up yesterday, so that makes it a lot easier because I like Purina Pro Plan. I've been doing that for a few years for the Dobermans and my Mastiff, and I've had no problems with it at all. And so I wanted him to get the good quality food also. So it's kind of expensive, you know, but I mean, he doesn't really require much anymore. I have a wall of donations. I'm sure you saw that one video. Like, just, it makes my heart full every time I walk by to go grab something. I'm just like, oh, this is so nice. Like, people are so great. Like, they don't realize how grateful I am. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, good. Yes, I won the lottery. I got all these donations. And it's like, no, this helps me so much because I wouldn't be able to do it. And how that all started was I basically put a cry out to Facebook. I said, do not buy, because I don't want people thinking I'm money hungry. I go, do not buy puppy pads. But if you have an unused open box of puppy pads that you do not need anymore, here's my address, drop it off. And all of a sudden, I mean, my front porch, people were coming. I mean, my parents were home at the time. So like, oh, someone's here. Oh, just for Gus. You know, so that's how it all really started with the whole donation thing. And then somebody, when I first made his Facebook page, someone who started following him based on one of the websites that I had originally put him on, said to start an Amazon wish list for him. And I'm thinking, what do you mean? And they're like, no, you can start an Amazon wish list. This is what you do. This is how you get it out. And I'm like, oh my God, that is super smart. And so he does have his Amazon wish list. So that'll have anything that we need at the moment, or maybe in the future. You know, I was thinking of maybe putting on one of those bags that connect right here. So when he drags himself around, he can't injure his back end. But my goal again is to get him to actually not drag himself. Like, I want him to be able to even walk on his knees. Like, if that doesn't hurt him, you know, do something to where he's not just dragging himself. But the other problem with him is he likes to flop. Like, if somebody's walking by, the cat is walking by or the dog is walking by and he's in the kitchen or in the living room, he does this thing where he'll be laying up like this, and all of a sudden somebody will walk by and he'll go as hard as he can to try and catch them, and he bangs his head off the ground. Oh my God. So if they make doggy helmets, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's been tough. He's not the easiest little booger, but you know, I still love him. It's been tough, but it's also been very rewarding.
Yeah. And so do you know when they'll be coming out with the GoFundMe?
I would say as soon as that vet finally calls us back and tells us we didn't find anything, or this is what it could possibly be, but either way, you need a brain scan next. Basically, once we figure out where we can go and what the estimate would be, is when we will do it, because Adirondack Animal Coalition, they're just like me. Lisa is just like me. She's not just going to throw a random number out there. She doesn't want people thinking that she's only in it for the money. She wants to make sure that there is proof of what we need before we just throw a random number out there. And I completely respect. I said I feel the same way. I go, I refuse to make a GoFundMe. People keep saying, oh, we want to donate. Well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait because I can't just throw a random number out there. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know, like, this is the reality of it. This is the reality of taking in a puppy with special needs.
Well, I love that you created the Amazon wish list and that you have the essentials that you're going to need, which are like the pee pads and the diapers and the food. So if they do want to donate at this time now, they can go through his Amazon wish list, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it helps really. And it's not like I'm being greedy. I mean, people need to realize, I mean, hopefully we can get that video out soon about his life and
Yeah.
see like this is real. This is, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I had foster kittens, I wouldn't have some of the materials I need to bathe him because he can't obviously have a bath every day. But in one of the videos, it shows me using multiple washcloths and a towel. And this was all stuff that I had used for my foster kittens. And it helps a lot because, like I said, I can't bathe them every day, but I can soak the washcloths and then put puppy shampoo on it and then rub him down really, really good because he gets super dirty. It's not just from peeing on himself. It's from the food because I have dry food. And then I put water in it like the vet recommended so he doesn't get dehydrated. And then I also put canned food in there for flavor and to fatten him up. Really, it started with the fattening up, but I just kind of stuck with it. I was like, okay, I've never really had a dog that I did this for, but might as well spoil him. And so when he spills it, or even if he doesn't spill it, he might just slop it up so fast he gets it all over his paws, all over his arms, all over his chest. So it's like a lot of the times I'm using, I'll start off with, if it's really fast, like in the morning or afternoon, or when I first get home from work, I will use baby wipes, sensitive baby wipes. Somebody actually donated really, really, really good ones that I actually love because it's got like a scent to it, and it's specifically for dogs. So it's super safe. So I might add that back onto the Amazon wish list because, it will help with the smell. I mean, he really doesn't smell that bad, but he can't clean himself. He can't lift his leg to clean himself. So if I do this for him, it gives him the opportunity to do it, but I don't always think to do it, So like I said, sensitive baby wipes, and then once a day, the washcloths with the towel, just to kind of clean him off a little better. So yeah, I mean, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but I love it. I don't know what I would do without him at this point. I would have too much time on my hands, and who needs that?
Yeah, seriously. Well, I'm so appreciative for getting to have both of you on here. And I love the fact that you're just giving Gus such a beautiful life. And I do hope that people are able to come over and help you with him. I think that would be amazing.
Yes, I know that would be awesome. I mean, I have had a few people basically say that they would help, run him around. I have a neighbor that every time he sees me outside, he'll come out, and he's just a little boy and he gets so excited, and he'll run around with him. And I'm thinking, oh, this helps me so much because I'm just exhausted because I'm the one doing all the dirty work. I'm the one cleaning him all the time and carrying him around and, bending over. And well, I can't really say my back hurts anymore. I think I'm made of steel at this point.
I love that. Well, I'm so happy that we get to talk with you guys. And I know that he has both Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
And I know soon you're coming out with his day in the life of Gus video. So we can't wait to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that you have your Amazon wish list, and soon you're coming out with the GoFundMe. So that's awesome. I'm glad you guys are coming out with that.
I'm excited to see what we can do for him. Like I really want it to reach far and wide because I mean, you see a lot of these older dogs that need help, but you don't really see it in puppies as much. And so it'll be nice to see what we can do for him.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on with me. And I'm glad that we got to see Gus as well. He's so
absolutely sweet. Thank you for having us and letting this be live because I mean, talking about it is so much different than actually being able to see him,
Yeah.
And I'm glad he woke up so he could show you his side where he just loves to chew on people and things. But he's
Oh,
a good.
I forgot to mention that you said when he gets off his shots that he's going to start seeing more people, right?
Yes. I mean, anyone who wants to come over, we can meet up at a park or something. I want people to meet him. I don't want him just to be mine. I want him to be like the community dog.
I love it.
And even travel with him, like go out to Plattsburgh to the dog park, wherever. I don't know, Vermont.
Bring
I don't
him
care.
to Florida.
I'll bring him to Florida. There you go. Then I just need someone to watch my Doberman and my Mastiff and my 500 cats.
You just need a big RV for all of you.
I know. I tell you what, I follow the guy called the Asher House, and that's what he does. And he's absolutely amazing. And he takes in dogs all the time, and he foster fails a lot of them. I don't remember what number he's up to now, but that's what he does. He goes around in an RV and he rescues these dogs, and then he adopts them out, or he foster fails, and he's got his own sanctuary now. So, like, that's really inspiring too. So,
yes. Before you go, I did want to ask if there are people interested in fostering, where can they go to do that? How do you go about that?
Well, it depends on what kind of animal you want to foster. If you want to foster cats, definitely through Focus on Ferals. But if you don't live around here, what you would do is you would go to your local shelter, or wherever you can find out. Sometimes they're not really considered shelters. I don't know, but you can go. We'll just stick to the local shelter and then ask them, like, do you have people foster your cats for you? And it's the same with the dogs. But with the dogs there's a lot more rescues than anything. So it might be breed specific rescues. Like I said, there's this one in Vermont that I was originally going to get him into, but it didn't work out. They didn't answer me back, which I'm not mad at. I mean, all of these shelters, I mean, even Focus on Ferals doesn't always message people back. Adirondack Animal Coalition doesn't always message people back, but that's how busy they are. So yeah, and if you want to foster dogs, again, go to your local shelter, go to your local rescue. For Malone area, I'm not really sure what the other opportunities are, but I know you could start with Lisa Courier and her Adirondack Animal Coalition. She's going to be building something absolutely amazing, and I'm excited to hear the plans. Like, she started going into it with me last night, and it really almost like made me really emotional, like to think of what could happen in the North Country if her plans completely work out and she can get these buildings for these dogs and these cats, and see what we can do, rescue and rehabilitate and foster and push them to new homes, So yeah, your best bet is just to ask your local rescue shelter, like, what can you do to help? And even if you can't foster, see what else you can do. Can you clean the cat cages? Can you take the dogs for a walk? Can you promote them somehow by taking pictures and putting them on your Facebook? That's what I've done. That's actually how I started out with Focus on Ferals, was I was going to the Cat Palace and taking pictures and putting them on my Facebook.
That's awesome. You're the best, Holly. I just love everything about you. So,
oh, thank you. Well, I hope you get to meet Gus too.
Oh, I have plans. When I come up for the holidays, I will be up to see Gus. I think I'll be there Christmas. So,
oh, that's awesome. I'll take some time off during Christmas so we can do puppy stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be awesome.
I'll have to get him instead of the radio flyer. He'll have to have his own sled.
Yeah, see, look it. You're coming up with the ideas. You already know what's going to happen for winter.
I'm just looking forward to the outside part. He might like it, but I'm not going to want to be out there.
Hey, maybe you need to put up like the winter jacket and pants for you on his Amazon wish list.
That actually is a good idea. There you go.
We'll help you get out there.
I started buying him sweaters already. I'm like, oh my God. So we'll see. I need a winter jacket actually, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And he's already got as long as his feet don't grow that much, which he's got pretty small paws, he can keep wearing the boots that were donated to him. So yes, before we end this, I do want to thank everybody. I know I've mentioned it multiple times, but for real, anything that's been donated has been very much appreciated. And there's not one gift greater than the other. It's all absolutely amazing. It helps him out so much. And even if it's not for me and Gus, donate to anything in need, you know, whether it's the children, you know, or dogs or cats, or I don't know. There's just so much that people can do. It's like, don't just sit there, help. If you ever see an animal in need, and this is probably going to be my last thing, if you ever see an animal in need, just help. You know, like there's so many times where I see it where the person just walks by, or they'll take a picture and put it on Facebook. And it's like, I might take a picture and put it on Facebook, but I'm trying to help at the same time. So, you know, just do whatever you can in your power. Don't ever let an animal suffer and know about it. It'll tear you apart.
Thank you, Holly. I'm glad that you shared that. I think that's beautiful. And we'll definitely tag all the, on this episode, I'll tag all the stuff of where they can go to follow or donate to the Adirondack Coalition itself. So I'll definitely add all that. But thank you for joining us today. And unfortunately, my Facebook did not work out where I could see comments. So if there are, we'll answer them after.
Yeah, they're perfect. Well, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. So happy to have you both.
Absolutely.